just sparked in my brain, Damar Hamlin. We wanted to, wish him the best, speedy recovery.
Definitely.
Hopefully bounces back. It's something crazy that I witnessed live because I'm a Bengals fan watching the game. Super unfortunate to see. I'm glad that they didn't continue the game because there was one point where I was watching. I was like, there's no way they're going to continue this game right now. And I think they did all the necessary things. My thoughts and prayers go out to them.
Yeah, you're right, too. And it's like when we look at this and, there's not much that separates us, right, as athletes, as people, human beings. No matter what it is that we're doing, whether we're fighting, whether we're playing football, basketball, everyday life, there's a human nature to everything that we do. And when something like that happens, that human nature has to kick in. And the one thing that I have seen, especially in the NFL, and I've seen it in other ones too, when these kinds of things happen, when something seriously happens, people pull together. People really come together and try to support one another. And to me, it's great to see that. Obviously, Damar and his family, friends, we were praying and that we wish the best outcome, and that our hearts go out to them. I remember, like I said, I was watching the game live, and when it happened, it was just something you don't ever want to see another.
I never thought I'd ever see anything like that, to be honest, especially in football. Maybe from something, more combat sports world, UFC, MMA, bare knuckle maybe. But from football, I never thought I'd see someone, fall over the way he did on the field.
I don't think we even seen that in combat because usually when you see that, a guy's been hit and he goes down or he's wobbling. This was different because when he stood up,
he looked fine.
And he just fell
back over. Yeah,
that was scary, right?
Yeah.
So again, like I said, it's like I don't want to harp on it, but man, we just want to make sure that we give a shout out, that we're thinking of all of you, and that we wish you nothing but the best.
And then one amazing thing that I did see come out of it was he had a charity organization that I believe he started a little while ago, and the amount of donations and everything that came into that was just through the roof. If I'm not mistaken, I think it's maybe over $5 million that's been donated over since this whole time frame and this whole situation happened. So, just goes to show that a good dude, and I hope he bounces back. And, once again, thoughts and prayers go out to him and his family.
God bless. Amen. Hey, just want to say welcome to Bout Time. Yes, I'm very excited sitting next to some pretty big influencers, Kenny KO.
How's it going, guys?
And was it Overtflow?
Overtflow,
PJ?
yes, sir.
Or is it PJ Overtflow?
PJ, like pajamas. Overtflow has been my gamer tag since I was a kid. So that's my YouTube name, and now it just kind of, I can't get rid of it. That's the name now.
Yeah, it's exciting, man. I'm telling you guys, it's doing some background on you guys and being able to see some of your accomplishments. It's amazing to really be in a space, being able to pick your brains and kind of understand how you got to where you're at. Obviously my road was traveled a little bit differently, but success is success, right?
Right. And go ahead and introduce yourself for the people watching
please.
who don't know. I mean, you're the bigger star here than we are.
I know. I'm excited to be sitting down with you.
You know what? I really appreciate that, but I think my star is fading. But thank you, man. I appreciate that. No, my name is Ken Shamrock. Obviously, the people that do know me, I had a great career in Japan, where I be champion there. And then, of course, in the UFC, I was able to be the champion there. And then, of course, WWF, did some stuff there. And, just dabbled in a lot of different things. But we're here now with Bout Time. I'm excited to be here with you guys and kick this show off because I think there's definitely got a lot of opportunity here.
Oh, yeah.
I'm super excited about it. The amount of things that we're going to be accomplishing with this is amazing. I feel very grateful that you guys hit me up to be a part of it as well. So I'm excited.
100%. I mean, as we're talking about PJ over there, I know he had his influencer fight. So that was what I wanted to get your opinion on. What you think of the whole influencer fight scene? Jake Paul, Logan Paul, KSI. Of course, he had his match that we just talked about. some undisclosed things that we can't talk about.
Yeah,
on the
yeah,
podcast.
we'll cover it a little bit.
Yeah, we definitely want your opinion on what you think of, YouTubers and influencers and everyone stepping into the fight scene.
What are you guys thinking, man? You aren't professionals. Stay out of the ring, man. What are you taking up space, man? You don't belong in there. Isn't that what we're hearing all the time? Like people are literally hating. It's like I'm thinking to myself, what's the problem? I mean, like, are you looking at the buy rates? Are you looking at the success that's happening here? And the one thing that comes to my mind is like, isn't this where people are actually showing you how to become more popular? If you're a fighter, right, and you're focusing on fighting, you're having a good career, but you don't have a lot of followers. You have medium followers. Like, I mean, like, instead of focusing on what you think is a problem, focus on what you think can build you as a fighter.
Right.
When this first came out, I was a little hesitant because I didn't understand it. And I wasn't sure what it was. And then after I started following it, watching Jake Paul and some of the things that they were doing, I was like, dude, that's impressive. I mean, like, they're capturing audiences. And then it just started to grow with other influence, guys like yourself, other people getting involved with it. And now it's like, it's this bubble now where you can't talk about boxing unless you talk about influencers. Mm-hmm. And so for me, I think it's exciting. I think it's ignorant for anybody who is a boxer or an MMA guy to hate on it because you're hating on being able to be successful. Figure out what it is they're doing and copycat it. Like, for instance, grow your audience. Like, go out there and start, collecting viewers, people that will follow you, so that when you go into a fight, you're going to have people watching you fight. I mean, because that's what it is. It comes all down to is, you got to be able to fight. And I believe without a shadow of a doubt that the guys that I have actually, like Jake Paul, like yourself, some of these guys have put in time. They have worked. And that they go in there and they fight. It's not embarrassing. You don't have guys carrying you. You're out there doing what you need to do to be there. So for me, it's just like, hey, don't hate on something that's working. Learn how to actually learn what it is they're doing and build your brand as big as theirs because you have that platform. People are watching you fight. So take advantage of being able to collect that audience.
And you know what I love about that is that when you talk to maybe some of the smaller boxers or whatever, you feel a lot of hate from them or a lot of, they don't like it. They think it's disrespectful. But then when you talk to absolute legends like Mike Tyson, Mayweather, Ken Shamrock, they're saying stuff like how much they respect that people are getting into it. It's more popular. Boxing is more popular than ever with kids 25 and under. And Mike Tyson himself attributes that to the rise of influencer boxers, Jake Paul, KSI, Logan. And I think that that's a beautiful thing. You're 100% right. Instead of being upset with something, figure out how you can learn from it. Because obviously it's working. It's here.
It ain't going nowhere because you're looking at the numbers and they constantly keep growing. And you're starting to see more of a crossover with it. You're starting to see more people get on board with it. So for me, I think it's the future. And speaking of that future, I think that it would be ignorant for anybody to start looking past that and try to go old school. I think that almost every organization that is dealing with combat should start looking into being able to put on undercard fights with influencers. Start figuring out how you might be able to start implementing some of these guys in there that would fight on the card because your numbers will grow. And then, like yourselves, some of these influencers are now training like Jake Paul who are putting in their time, but there's others out there that are doing both now. So in another 10 years, just like with the UFC where you had stand-up and ground fighters, now there's no such thing. They're all the same thing. They're crossovers. Same thing with the influencers. They're coming in and they're starting to box and they're doing the influences. It's the same thing. There won't be a difference. They'll have followings and they'll be fighters.
Right, correct. And I think, you can speak on it too. I think just seeing two of your favorite influencers going head to head just has a spectacle behind it in itself,
100%.
Regardless if they're trained or not. Watching two people who you've watched your entire life throwing hands at each other, who's not going to watch it?
So that's something that I love that you just said, is that you do have the guys who are getting into the professional realm, like Logan, like Jake, like King Kenny, Faye Sensei, KSI, all these guys are getting into the professional realm. But it's a beautiful thing to see somebody who maybe it's not they're not great at combat or whatever, but they're gonna dedicate 6 months and they're gonna fight another guy who dedicated 6 months. But meanwhile, these guys are just video game players or they're just famous on YouTube. I find it very respectable to see somebody dedicate their lives and hop in there and do that. And it is fun to watch your favorite guy that you've been watching forever. Oh, this is my favorite streamer. And now he's going to be trying his hand at boxing. That's always fun. Or if you bring a friend ice skating that's never ice skated before, that's fun too, to watch somebody like, hey, it's their first try. It's very commendable to see a lot of these guys try their hand at it.
For sure. And I think it's also commendable for anyone that does step in the ring that's an influencer because, I mean, coming from the fight scene, just stepping in the ring alone takes a ton of courage, and there's plenty of people on the planet who would never do it, and they might ridicule people for their boxing skills or their grappling skills or whatever they're stepping in on. But it takes a lot just to even step in there.
Like Mike Tyson said, it's all everybody's tough till they get punched in the mouth.
That is one of the best quotes, I swear.
Yeah, but to your point, that's what we're talking about here. You're talking about, and it will help actually grow respect for influencers, because when you see a guy who has never actually gone in and fought and says, hey, you know what, this stuff looks fun. I've never trained before, but I'm going to go put 6 months in and then I'm going to fight. First of all, if they put 6 months into a fight, that's commendable. But most of the time it's 3 months, right? But if you've never done it before, 6 months. So if they go 6 months, that in itself, and they get in and fight, but the training itself for 6 months when you have not done it before, as you guys know, is absolutely terrifying to somebody who has never, ever done it. Because you're in a closed space, there's no fans around, there's no referees around, and you got guys coming in there that are training with you, and you don't know, because you haven't done it before, you don't know whether these guys are there to beat you up or whether to help you train.
Right.
And you can't really decide that while you're sparring, because they are hitting you and they are beating you up, but in a controlled environment, but you don't understand that. So for me, I think when they get in there and they start working and they put that time in there and then they get in there and they actually fight, man, it's hats off, because that is a very, very tough thing to do when you've never done it before.
100%.
And you know what? I want to say, so a little bit about me real quick. I'm a professional gamer. I started making YouTube videos in 2009, so I've been around forever. And then with the dawn of influencer boxing, I actually really helped on the first event ever. So I was on the event with Jake Paul, Logan, Deji, KSI. I actually fought one of KSI's boxing trainers named FaZe Sensei. He had some opponents that pulled out. Nobody would fight him. And I believe that we really legitimized the card, because besides the Paul brothers and the Olatunji brothers, we were the only two martial artists on the card that were taking it serious. Everybody else was just kind of a YouTuber or whatever. So I've been around and involved since then. Now I'm part of Happy Punch Promo, and I've been doing this whole influencer thing. I had 2 fights in the last 6 weeks, maybe. I fought the owner of FaZe Clan, FaZe Temper. It was very short notice. It didn't go my way. He kind of hit me with a nice trick shot there. I didn't win that one, And then I fought on a chess boxing match. I actually won the boxing and the chess.
There you go.
But I lost off of time somehow. I don't know. I've never heard of it before, but it's very popular in France and India apparently. And now I preface this whole thing by saying that because huge news today. And I think that at the time of this filming, it just happened, but I believe we're posting this Saturday, I think. But as of today, Dylan Dennis just pulled out of his fight with KSI.
I saw that.
Right?
I haven't seen the reasoning. What was his pullout? It looked like he was in a hospital bed.
You know what? So I don't know exactly. Mams Taylor, who is KSI's business partner in Misfits Boxing, came out and said that Dylan Dennis's team said that he was underprepared, possibly had trouble making weight, and overall it just seemed like, he underprepared seemed to be the reason.
Yeah, when we talked about it, you talked a little bit about it, that when you train that 6 months or 3 months, whatever it is you're going into there, it's not an easy thing to do, right?
Yeah.
And it's not like these guys are professionals and they do this for a living, right? They do it when they can do it. It's a hard thing to do over and over again. Even if you've done it once or twice and then going back and doing it again, each time gets harder and tougher. And you have to make sure you're completely focused on what you're doing. If you're going in there half-cocked, like you're just going to do it and you'll get through it on your own, you're not going to put the hard training in, that's where it starts to mess you up. And I believe that when someone does that, things like that happen because mentally they're not confident.
You know what? But Dylan Dennis has a history of this. So Dylan Dennis, for those of you that don't know, is
Because he's an actual professional fighter, right?
yeah, world famous for jiu-jitsu. So to me,
But he's not a boxer, right?
right, he fought in Bellator.
Right.
So he's not a boxer. He's super famous for jiu-jitsu. Was one of Conor McGregor's coaches / training partners for jiu-jitsu.
Right.
And he's really involving himself in the influencer space. Which, by the way, if you're scared of boxing, Dylan, I'm a jiu-jitsu black belt over here. We get a little influencer grappling match going. We could.
Hey, we got a challenge.
Hey, let's get that done. But he's notorious for doing things like this, like pulling out of fights last minute, or maybe collecting the clout that he can get from it, like writing the publicity and then pulling
Until
out
the last minute.
Bro, I honestly
pull
believe
out.
that he was going to get in there though this time. I really believe that, and so I don't know how much I can say, and I don't want to say too much. But a few days ago, I actually got a call from KSI's team asking me what my weight was. Can I make 170? Be on standby. I don't know what that all means, but then I was like, and this was before the news came out. And then today it comes out, Dylan Dennis pulls out. Oh no, KSI is without an opponent. I was like, oh man. Turns out the guy who just beat me 6 weeks ago, FaZe Temper, the owner of FaZe Clan, the biggest gaming organization on the planet, accepted the fight. He's fighting KSI. So FaZe Temper versus KSI. And I got to say this, to get to KSI, you got to go through me. All right? I hold the keys to the
secret key,
kingdom.
the key holder.
Yeah, the key holder, buddy. Sora.
Yeah, don't jump me. Don't jump over me. Go through me.
You go through me, buddy.
I kind of expected it from Dylan because I know as a social media influencer, the last thing anyone ever wants to do is lose because
Right.
we know how much he trolls online, for how long he's been doing it. If he was to take a loss, let's say to KSI, which I think my guess is it would probably happen.
Yeah, I thought, of course.
And,
I thought
and,
KSI
and,
would.
I'm going to assume that's probably why he dropped out.
KSI got that dog in him, you know. I'm just saying, bro. I think that he wins that fight, and I just really believe though that this time that Dylan would stay in because I didn't think that he could look bad either way. He would probably make 7 figures from this, right? And he would get all this publicity. And it's boxing; it's not even his sport, so a loss or a win shouldn't.
Brother,
really...
come on, man. This is bragging rights from another
Okay.
influencer. Come on, that's hard. Did you know it'll be for a year or however long he's going to get trashed.
100. But now he's gonna get trashed even more.
He's got
Even more,
He's
even
got a
more.
defense now, man. I mean, like
I don't-
nobody knows for sure, right? I mean, like,
Even if we think about
Yeah.
the Tommy Fury situation, I mean, he pulled out, but I
He
mean,
gets
maybe it's
constantly
less of a
trashed.
loss compared to if he was to, let's say, get knocked out by Jake Paul, professional
You think
boxer
so?
actually losing. I think you
Well,
get less
he doesn't even have
backlash
to get
pulling
knocked out,
than
bro.
you would actually getting like a highlight clip of Jake Paul knocking him out.
yeah.
Tommy
well,
Fury's interesting, a little bit more interesting to me than this Dylan Dennis situation, though, because it seems like Dylan's just pulling out for no reason besides being underprepared. Which I went in on 4 days' notice, hadn't sparred in years, walked in there. You know what I mean? And I'm just the guy who plays video games. Yeah, right.
Yeah, I don't know though, because when you talk about that's a high risk for Fury. I mean, Paul doesn't even have to. He doesn't have to win the fight. All he's got to do is look good,
100%.
and he's going to be
100%.
rocketed.
Just like with Anderson
So-
Silva, I felt like all Jake had to do was look good.
Right.
And he came out and
You
won,
knocked him out,
which
man.
which is amazing.
Yeah.
Knocked him down at least, right?
Yeah.
But he came out and
Well, yeah.
yeah, I mean, honestly, absolutely mind-boggling. That's crazy. You got to give respect, like you said. You got to give respect to Jake. He's putting in crazy.
He
work.
looks good, bro. And I see, and that's why when I hear people talk about it, I was like, man, you know what? You need to stop the hating, because if you look at when he first fought to where he's at right now, he's 100 times better. So he's putting in the work, man. Why? You can't hate on that. It's successful. The guy is putting in the work. He's looking better all the time. And so it just bothers me that the world of boxing and the world of MMA, and not all of them, but it's almost like they're afraid or jealous of this guy who has worked his tail off and put all the right pieces together to grow bigger than the sport itself.
Well, every community gatekeeps a little bit, right? Like, even let's switch to video games real quick. If you're like, oh, I play Call of Duty, I'm like, for real, how many hours? Oh, you don't have 47 hours played in the last month?
Right.
Yeah, you don't play Call of Duty, dude. Every community does that to some degree, right?
Yeah.
I think a lot of people's biggest backlash to Jake Paul's boxing is they want him to fight an actual professional boxer, not the retired MMA fighter.
Isn't Anderson a professional boxer?
The NBA boxers.
But let me ask you
the
this
NBA players.
on that, and and I'm with that, and this is for the people out there. What is Jake Paul, right? What is he? Why does he have to go to the top
Right
now? Why can't he, just like a professional, work his way up?
Because you're a reasonable guy, Ken. You're a reasonable guy who's speaking logically here. It makes sense.
And work his way up, making more money than championship bouts.
I mean, it's definitely for sure because I know a lot of people want to see Jake lose, so they want him to have the hardest challenge possible.
Yo, why is he not fighting Canelo in his 4th fight? What's happening here?
What's going on?
Going on? Fake
Why not?
boxer. Bro, what?
Ducking. He's ducking.
He's ducking him.
Or fight somebody, and I know they had this fight set up, forget his name, but it was a pretty good boxer. It didn't come to fruition, but he was a contender, but didn't have a big name.
I know exactly who you're talking about. I don't know why I can't.
That was horrible.
I'm
thinking
right after Tommy pulled out.
Rockman. Yeah, Rock.
Yeah, I'm like, dude,
Yeah,
no.
one of my best friends, actually.
Yeah, but don't. I mean, like, to me, that's like putting everything you built and then setting fire on it. Because, yeah, maybe he wins, but the risk of him losing to somebody that they don't know, even though the guy's good, but they know, but not the whole people know him.
Right.
I just felt like bad move. Like, keep fighting people that people know, and then get your skills up to where, yeah, now you can step in with a Canelo. And it's not about winning that fight. It's about making sure you look good in that fight.
100%. That would be the win.
Yeah.
Right, to look good. And Rock, for example, Hasim Rockman Jr., one of my best friends, I've known him since I've been 14. He actually trained me for the first fight I had in 2018.
Okay.
So he's been involved with influencer boxing since the beginning as well. And for Jake to even consider that fight, I felt like was crazy because I did not see him getting past Rock. I've known him for 15 years, man. That dude's a monster.
And not that he couldn't. I mean, again, because I know all fighters, got egos. We believe we can beat anybody, no matter when it is. But as you're looking at it from a person that's trying to protect your fighter, you're looking at that going, yeah, maybe he can, but if he doesn't, the risk, especially at the level, and I'm not saying he's not a nobody, but it's not the stardom that he's been fighting. And you got to, I think, you keep with that until you get to a point to where you know that you can go hands with the best. And that's all training. And what he's done up to this point, from my perspective, he's getting better every single fight. So put in 10, 12 fights. Now you know you're where you need to be able to step in there and fight guys like Canelo or Fury. Because you now, and it's not about you being tough enough or having the skills enough. It's about you having experience in these fights, going these distances and fighting these kinds of fights, so that when you get in with somebody that has a savvy ring presence, that you're able to go with those guys, be able to outthink those guys, because now you got the experience in that ring.
Right. And do you think there'll ever be a correlation between bare knuckle and influencer boxing?
Ooh.
I think that'd be an interesting. I don't know if any influencers would ever dabble into it.
I'm down. I'm down.
PJ over here.
I'm down.
Instantly down. Sign my name.
I don't understand the fear of that, because I'm more afraid of being hit 100 times in the head and sustaining brain damage, because I won't go down. But with bare knuckle, you get cuts, they could stop the fight, or you get hit with the knuckle on the chin, you go down. I don't care how tough you are, right? You're going to go down.
Those fights are quick.
Yeah, so in my thoughts, I'm thinking to myself, man, I'm taking a sledgehammer to my head 100 times, and after I'm done, my head hurts. But in a bare knuckle fight, man, it's like, it's not that long. You're not going to take 100 punches to the head. And it just seems to me like our thought on what bare knuckle is wrong. And I fought everything. I fought with 4-ounce gloves. That's crazy. Like, that is really crazy. I fought with 16-ounce gloves, 12-ounce gloves, 8-ounce gloves. And so I've been through the gamut. Then the bare knuckle. And to me, when I go in there, and especially understanding the damage, I would much rather be in a bare knuckle fight and do a career in that than I would in boxing or MMA. I would much rather be at bare knuckle. And I've said that since the beginning when they first came out and put gloves on guys. I was like, oh, that's a great idea. You're going to protect the fighters. And then as I started doing it, I'm going, protect the fighters? You guys are hurting us. It's like you're allowing these guys to be able to protect their hands and go on to the next fight, because we'd fight 4 times in one night. Guys were breaking their hand. They couldn't fight the next fight. So, hey, I got an idea. Tank Abbott wore these gloves out there. Let's put gloves on, guys. So you don't break your hand. It had nothing to do with going, hey, let's put gloves on it so we can protect the fighters. No, that's not why they did it. They did it to protect these.
I had this conversation I literally just had this conversation last night with a Lyft driver. The boxing gloves look nice. They look like sock and boppers. It looks like you put them on your hand. It's not going to hurt you. It's fine. But it's actually, compared to MMA or bare knuckle, so much worse, because you're targeting primarily the head. You're getting hit hundreds of times in the head during a fight. Whereas you look at MMA, I could choke somebody in MMA and never hit them and win. Bare knuckle, you get hit once, it's over. Compared to the 100 times repeated hits to the head, is just terrible for you. So even though boxing may look safer, it's actually not.
Right. Well, and you look at the training that goes into boxing, right? I mean, like for me, and I love boxing, and by no means am I saying we don't box. I'm just saying be aware.
Right.
Don't go, oh my gosh, you should never let people do bare knuckle. That's like, don't say that, because it's not more dangerous. It's all dangerous. It's called combat, right? And that's when you go in there, everything is a risk. So understanding that. So for me, it's just like having understanding what it is. And I truly believe that boxing, as bare knuckle starts to grow, we're going to have boxing, you have MMA, you have bare knuckle, and I think there'd be a huge crossover for all styles.
Definitely, and that only helps everybody, right?
Yep.
So like it's cross promotion from every fighting platform or whatever. The same with the influencer boxing. I think it's a beautiful thing. Instead of being upset with the influencers or whatever, utilize them, right? Utilize them. Let's do influencer MMA, influencer grappling, whatever. Add an influencer to your event. I think that it makes a lot of sense, and I think that everybody can win. There's enough wins to go around for everybody. This is all cross, like the whole cross-platforming thing is a beautiful way to look at it, and that's just like my opinion.
Actually, I am surprised that there hasn't been a grappling influencer scene or bare knuckle, as we were talking about, like kind of diversifying out of the boxing.
I think we're getting there. I think that we're getting there. There's definitely been some talks. I've been in talks with people as well. Of course, me being a jiu-jitsu black belt, and I'm an influencer, right? I come from that, so I would love to do that. That would be amazing for me. I would really enjoy that. But I think that we're seeing more and more people talk about the possibility of that. Now that people have kind of wet their whistle with the whole boxing thing, we're definitely more on the verge of seeing the MMA or the grappling. It's just that the skill levels go a lot deeper, I think, than teaching somebody how to throw a 1-2, right?
Well, you know what's interesting about this is like right here, right now, right? Think about this. I know when I started, I was a pioneer. I mean, over in Japan before they started here, I mean, I was teaching people how to throw punches and shoot, right? Because you're fighting a striker. You're like, you just don't want to shoot in because they're going to time you, so you want to start throwing hands. So you got to learn. Be able to make them fear your hands so the shot's easier. Same thing with trying to take a guy down. If you're a grappler, you got to be able to throw hands, make them worry about your hands, shoot on them. So think about what you guys are doing, right? You guys are literally pioneers right now of being able to take influencing, using your social media platforms, and combining it into a combat sport. And that's going to be just like we see now where guys, and I said it earlier, where guys are going to be one style, where you don't have a striker or a grappler. It's all one thing because everybody's good at it. It's the same thing that's going to happen with this industry as we see it. It won't be influencers anymore. It won't be influencer boxing or influencer MMA. It's just going to be influencers fighting, right? And because I truly believe that because of the success of this, you're going to see people start training when they're 10 years old, 15 years old, and when they get old enough, they're going to have huge followings and they're going to be in the combat industry.
100%. You know what? Speaking of the influencer boxing stuff, who did you box?
I mean, so some sparring matches, of course.
Didn't
I was
you
boxing for a bit. I was doing a lot of challenges, but the problem was no one wanted to accept, especially
you're
in
all
the fitness
big
industry.
And stuff.
I think it's mainly because the fitness industry. I'm all big and stuff.
You're all
I
big
think it's
and
mainly
stuff,
because
dude.
the fitness industry is a lot of people rely on their egos and how people
100%.
perceive them, their physique.
They don't want to get hit.
Their stature,
I thought that you did
their
a-
reputation. So no one would want to ever jeopardize a potential loss.
I could be wrong. I thought that you did like a on-camera match.
I did do
somebody.
one, and I was like severely sick, and it did not go.
Who was it
well.
with?
I don't know why I'm trying. He fought Logan Paul.
Oh, the Russian guy or something, right?
Yeah.
That's right. I saw
Victor
that.
Drago.
That
Victor
guy.
Drago, yeah.
That's amazing. So I had a couple questions for you, if you don't mind. First off, I'm thinking off the top of my head now.
Yeah.
I have a few people over here that I'm thinking of that you could potentially get in the ring with. We got like Jake the Viking from Mr. Beast.
I think I saw you post that the other
You
day.
seen me post
Yeah.
that?
Yep.
We got people like Minicon, Chase Demore. There's definitely somebody. If you want to hop over here into the influencer boxing world, I mean, we could probably set something up.
Well, I'm telling you,
is
man,
exciting.
you guys, listen, talk about this. You guys are I'm telling you, this is the beginning.
$1 million
It's starting
deals
to
on the podcast. $1 million deals right now, right?
Yeah,
$2 million.
it's happening. It's happening, and man, it's going to be a fun ride because, like I said, I think this is going to blow up. I really do, and I think that being able to do this podcast with you guys and being able to blend this together, it's the beginning, man. I think it's going to take off, and it's going to be huge.
100%. And I love the fact, like, I get a lot of weird offers to do interesting shows or whatever this is. But most of the time, people are so skeptical. And it's almost like you have to drag them along to see your perspective, right? But I love that you approach me and you're like, I love all this stuff. This is beautiful. And you're a legend. I grew up watching you. So to be part of this is amazing.
Well, and, just being here with you guys, being able to understand where you come from and how you're getting there, it's awesome. And it's just being able to open up those gates and being able to bring other people in.
100%.
So, but yeah, it's been awesome, man. I'm looking forward to the future because from what I'm seeing and the landscape out there with the influencers and the people training now, it's not a joke. I mean, they're out there, they're literally working hard, they're training hard, they're getting ready to come in and fight, but they got huge followings. And to me, all you people out there listening or watching, man, embrace this, man. If you're a fighter and you're a world champion or you're a contender, learn what it is that they're doing to be able to captivate their viewers and their followers, because that's going to bring a bigger payday for you when you do fight for a title if you're a contender. Hey, just want to, we have a guest on. Got to watch him in the Bare Knuckle and Valor. Drop some hammers. What we have on here is Lavar, the Big Stone. Hey, man, you should have the nickname Stone Hands.
Yes, sir.
I think that was already taken.
Yeah, but I think if you took it, I don't think they'd argue with you.
Yeah, I mean, who's going to stop you from taking whatever name you want? Let's be honest.
Yeah,
Very true. I've been seeing this highlight everywhere, man. Absolutely amazing. I've been seeing it like actually everywhere, and I'm excited when they said that you were coming on today as a guest. Super exciting.
Yeah.
Right on. Thank you guys for having me, man.
Appreciate it. Hey, just to let you know, it's Kenny KO and PJ Overtflow. Did I say that right, brother?
Yes. PJ Overtflow.
PJ
Mr.
Overtflow.
Flow. Yeah, that all works.
Yeah, we're going to watch some fights here, brother, and want you to kind of talk us through it, man. I want to see this again, man. That was a heck of a punch.
Let's keep it.
This is the first actual Valor event.
Yeah, I've been seeing this highlight. Like I said, I've been seeing it like everywhere. It keeps popping up on my feeds on like every platform. So I probably have seen this like 30 times already.
Yeah, but the question is, have you learned how to punch like that yet?
Not yet. I need some.
What are you thinking here, brother?
Man, just trying to get to work,
Ooh.
Yeah, it was over with.
Trying to get to work and it's over.
When you hit him with that punch, did you feel it at all?
Yeah, I felt it right away. I didn't have time to like really prepare for this fight, so my knuckles weren't conditioned, and bare knuckles, like you said, it's a little bit different. You have to condition knuckles. You gotta have precise punches and things like that. And I hit him like in the hardest part of the head, the crown of the head, and thank God I didn't break my hand.
And your hand was a little bit sore from not you hadn't been training, right? So you weren't conditioned for that. So your hand's a little bit sore.
Yeah. Well, usually, I mean, when you're like bare knuckle condition, you want to take the glove off, maybe hit with wraps and stuff like that. Try to get your hands a little tough, get the bones a little dense.
Man, I had a similar situation, except it wasn't my hand that was sore. It was my jaw that was sore. I didn't have time last time.
I was on the receiving end.
I was on the receiving end of that short notice.
Is that what they call lights out? Yeah. Hey, question for you, brother. When you were in there, and obviously, the journey you getting there was rough, right? But we got you there, and you being in that locker room, getting ready to walk in there, man. What were your thoughts going in there? Obviously, there was no ropes, no cages. It was a different kind of a bout circle, is what we call it, for you to actually fight in a different surface. Did you go in actually when you were fighting? Did you think about no ropes, no cages? How were you gonna, plan to go in there and fight that kind of fight?
No, it definitely was a little bit different. I mean, for all of us, all the fighters that you had out there, it was different. We all went out to watch the first fight, and then, right when the bell rang, it was just instantly everybody was bloody. So we're like, oh well, here we go. And a lot of us were big boys out there too. So, I guess once you step in after doing it for so long, once you step in that ring or the pit or whatever, I think it's just once that first punch goes, everything's just natural,
I guess one thing I've always been curious about, is there a different instinct level, or do you have a different, fear factor that goes into it, like stepping into a match where you're wearing, like, let's say 16-ounce gloves versus bare knuckle? Are you fighting it a little bit more cautious, or is it the same type of fight?
Well, there's no wrestling or nothing like that, and there's no grabbing, so I just think just to go in there, and we're all big guys, and we can put each other away with one punch. So I think we're just focused on getting in there and getting out, getting it over with. But I don't think you really think about the glove thing or anything. Once you start fighting, it's just you're in a fight. You're locked in.
And then, have you yourself suffered any type of injuries or anything from the bare knuckle?
Oh, not from the bare
broken
knuckle.
knuckles, maybe like cheekbone, anything like that. I know your opponents probably have.
I've only had that one fight with Valor, and that was it. You know, I had my chin was sore. Like I was telling Ken the other day, I didn't even know I got hit 3 times until like later on that night. I was like, man, my chin's a little sore, but because the fight was so quick. But yeah, that was it. Swollen hand and no broken bones, no nothing.
And it's always like a roller coaster of emotion, right? Like in the build up, or even so. I've only done it a few times. I'm a jiu-jitsu black belt, so I mainly compete in grappling. But whenever I've taken actual like boxing fights or anything like that, I always feel like, you know, in the locker room, in the lead up, I'm like, what the heck am I doing here? What's going on with me? And then, you know, you take the walk, I autopilot myself and get out there anyway. But as an experienced guy who's been doing it, I've been watching you probably since high school for me. So is there,
ouch,
do you still have that? Do you still have that like roller coaster of emotion, or like, what am I doing here? Or are you just like another day at the office?
Oh, no, I still get a little bit nervous, you know, especially if the fights haven't been that recent, you know. If there's a long time in between fights, then, you know, it's like, yeah, I'm the same way. Like, man, what am I doing here? I'm so old. And whose idea was to get out here and do a bare knuckle fight? But then after it's over with, man, you're just like on top of the world, and it feels great. And it's like, all right, when's the next one? Let's go.
So when is the next one?
Whenever Ken says get out there and handle that, then I'm ready to go.
That's what I like to hear.
Who would you say is like your number one opponent, or who you'd want to face up against?
I want Godbeer. Godbeer has the belt, and you know, I'm not in here just to play around. I want to be the best at you know what it is. So I'm not going to waste any time. I want to fight Godbeer and get that belt.
Yeah, but the question is, does he want to fight you?
Yeah, I've talked to Godbeer, man. We've known each other for a while too, so I think it's a mutual respect, and I think he's game. I think he's ready to get in there and find out. You know. Yeah,
and I hope he is, because that's the fight I want to see, because I think that would be a great fight. But you know, I know when we had talked about trying to put that together, he was talking about retiring, and we're like, dude, what are you talking about? You just won the belt, man. So I'm hoping and praying that he does, because that's the fight I want to see.
Right, the exciting ones.
Yeah, well, I mean, you see what he did in his first competition with Valor. I mean, he walked through people, and then you see what Lavar did. Is like, oh my gosh, that's like a dream fight, man. I'd say 2 big hitters, man, going at it. So yeah, we want to see that. I hope. We're going to actually start reaching out, and I know that we have. I know some of our team has started reaching out for some of the fighters. We're starting to put those pieces together. So we're excited about what's to come. And Lavar, you're going to be a big part of that picture.
I appreciate you having me, Ken. I really do.
Nah, hey, listen, man. You know, there's a lot of things that a lot of fighters go through together before we become fighters. And so I respect your journey. I respect your struggles and obstacles that you've overcome so that you become the man you have today, because I truly do understand those obstacles and the things that we have to overcome to get to where we want to go. So I truly do admire you and respect you for you being the man you are today and not becoming what you could have become. Just like with myself, we fought through those, I guess we'd say, temptations, and we steered clear onto the right path, and we forged our backgrounds to be who we are today. So I do have much respect for you. I look forward to seeing you fight in that bout circle, and let's see who comes out on top.
And let's go. I'm ready to do it. Thank you, Ken, man, and I appreciate, like I said, being here and being involved in everything.
I appreciate you, brother, man. God bless you, man.
You just got promised to make a better knockout than the last one.
It's impossible.
Yeah, well, Godbeer ain't going away easy, but I tell you what, that's going to be a great matchup, and look forward to it, man.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Right on,
all right,
brother.
fellas, you guys enjoy yourselves, and have a good night.
Yeah, take care, man.
Sir.
Hey, again, like I said, I hope you don't get too disappointed if Eagles get beat in the first or second round, bro.
You didn't come this far just to lose like that.
Let's hope not, bro. Let's hope not. Peace out, man.
All right.
Appreciate you.
Have a good one.
Pleasure having you, man.
Thank you. But
Bro, isn't every professional scary man on the planet the nicest guy?
Right.
Like, right?
It's not who you would think at all.
Yeah,
like when you're talking
nicest.
to them.
It's really controlled aggression, right? I mean, like you have the confidence of being able to do whatever you want to do to somebody most of the time, right? So you're having the confidence to not have to fight, and I think that's where you find it, right? You find that confidence to where if somebody does come at you, it's like, hey, bro, step back.
Yeah. Like when I go out with my friends, all of them professional MMA fighters or like jiu-jitsu black belts or boxers or whatever, they're the first people to say, if something happens, oh, I'm sorry, buddy, let me buy you a drink. I apologize, whatever. They're the first ones, right? And it's not what the average person would maybe expect. They would expect them to be a little bit more aggressive when they're really not. They're normally the nicest guys like he just demonstrated. Or yourself.
Right.
Do you have a lot of people trying to check you?
Well, you know, and
Because I remember because I lived in Reno in the Tahoe area, and
Yeah.
Chuck Liddell was like notorious for coming into the clubs up there, and there was always the drunk idiots that would try and test Chuck Liddell in the club.
But see, that's the problem, right? You know, as a 24-year-old, as a 27-year-old, 29-year-old, 32-year-old, you have to grow up, right? And so if you become this icon, this person that everybody knows, why would you put yourself in those positions? I get it. It's good to go to clubs, dance with girls, have fun, party with your buddies. But sometimes you got to be the smarter person, right? And realize that if I go there, I put myself in harm's way because there are going to be people that are going to test you. And you have to be man enough to walk away. And with a lot of us, because of the fight or flight time built into us, we don't fly, we fight. A lot of times it's hard to walk away from somebody that really wants to fight you. Right. And then you end up doing that. And then obviously it's all over social media. Everybody knows about it. So what I did was I stayed out of clubs. I stopped going to them because I knew once I got to a certain point in my career, I realized because I had gotten into fights, a fight in Premier Club in Reno where I knocked a guy out, put him in a coma. And Mills Lane was actually the judge at the time, the district, whatever he was, but he called it a mutual combat, which means nobody was at fault, but they shut the club down.
Okay.
But those are things where I think as people who are recognized, we should start thinking about where we put ourselves and when we put ourselves in harm's way. By me not going to those places took me out of the equation of messing up. And so, you know, obviously I could still go to certain things, house parties, controlled environments, things of that nature would kind of kept me out of that spotlight. So that's what I talk about when people ask me, you know, well, when you got into fights, and I did. But as I grew as a professional athlete and I became more visible, I realized that I couldn't do a lot of those things that most people do because it puts me in harm's way.
Right. And that's like a super intelligent way to approach it. And I also kind of want to say it's interesting because it can be looked at both ways from the media standpoint, right? So you have sometimes guys that are professional fighters, they get into fist fights and it ends very badly for the other person. And that's negative press, right? But then you can get some positive spin on it, like Matt Serra, for example, when you saw him hold down the drunk guy at the buffet and kind of everybody, and he just held him down and just restrained him until the people came. And it was a funny video that actually kind of had a positive spin on it, which is fun to see as well.
Well, of course, but majority of the time, usually anybody that you get into a problem with has 10 friends with them.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure. Was there any that like stood out to you as being the most noteworthy? As someone trying to like confront you or get some type of rise out of you?
Yeah, I there's actually two different ones. One of them was the one I just talked about. The guy's dad was the game warden, which obviously didn't work very favorable for me, but I was the head bouncer at the Premier Club in Reno. And this guy that came in, and I want to mention his name, was a football star. And he played at one of the high schools in Reno and went on to Brigham Young University, and he was a tight end for that team. And he was back in Reno. It was the holidays, and him and his buddies came into the club, and he's probably goes about 280, 270, 280, big dude, 6'4", come in there and started causing problems. Of course, he had his friends with him, and next thing you know, we're into a confrontation. I hit him, I drop him, he hits the ground. He doesn't get up. Ambulance comes in, picks him away, hauls him off. That was a nightmare because my father always told me that, and I'm a grappler. Most people know I made my living as a grappler, but I hit really hard. And So when I hit this guy, I shoved his cheekbone up into his brain, and immediately before that next morning, they said the guy went into a coma. Went through all kinds of different situations, ended up, Mills Lane called it mutual combat, which, kind of got me out of that. But, those are one of those things where I was actually the bouncer there. But just because I hit him, and I wasn't even a fighter yet, I was like 21 years old.
Okay.
So, I still had that fight or flight. I mean, it was built into me. And so there's scary moments. And another one is actually when I was a pro fighter. I had all my kids and my family coming back from its water park or slides and everything. And this is actually when I just started to climb, and I still had that, no care, didn't care. And this guy cuts me off, so I get in front of him, and I got my wife following me, and we got the kids in the car. There's like 6 kids in the car, and this guy comes up, and we get to the stoplight. We go to turn in. He pulls his truck off into the dirt, and it's like 3 lanes, and then there's a turn lane. I'm in the turn lane. We're all stopped. He gets out. Another guy gets out, starts walking towards the car. And I remember looking, I rolled down the window, I pushed my kid against the seat, and I pointed at him and I said, you take another step towards this car, I'm getting out. Guy didn't stop. This is like a big dude. He's probably about 300 pounds, big belly, probably 6 foot. So I get out of my car, walk around. He takes a swing. I drop him. Just right there, right next to the car. He hits the ground. This other dude comes up, and I was like, starts hitting me, and I turn around to go to hit him, and he takes off running. I was like, good move. Well, what I didn't realize is the kid that hit me was his son. He's 17 years old, a senior in high school. I was like, thank you, Lord. I'm glad I didn't hit him. There'd been a bad problem. But as he's laying there, right, he gets up, crawls over to the curb. I go to get in my car because I'm going to leave. Light turns green. I'm trying to leave. This guy comes in and pulls the keys out of my car. It was actually a cop off duty. I didn't know it at the time. Glad I didn't hit him either.
Yeah, I was about to say.
And just swinging on everyone that approaches.
So he pulls the keys out. He says, you can't leave. You got to wait for the police. So I was all right, bro. So we waited. And I remember they're taking this guy's statement, and they're saying, hey, he said that you came over to the car and you just started hitting him. And I was laughing, and I was like, I want you to do me a favor. I said, I want you to take a look where his teeth are laying.
Oh, my goodness.
They're laying right by my car. I said, so how did his teeth go from that over there to here? I think it's pretty evident that he came over to my
You
car.
just hit him that hard that the teeth went all the way
flew.
to the next car.
Launched him.
Yeah, ricocheted, blood too. So I've had many confrontations. Obviously, all the way through most of this, as I was going through my career, I was never a guy that just wanted to fight somebody. I just wasn't built that way. But it was always not violently like I want to just fight, but it was like this game challenge, like I'm being challenged by somebody, and it's like, okay, I accept. Things like that. So, but I never went out trying looking for stuff.
Right. So my question for you, PJ, was going to be, who do you think was the first influence, or big influencer, I should say, that was in the boxing space as well? Like a good fighter.
A good
First one that
fighter
comes to mind for me is like Ryan Garcia, who's dabbling in both.
Oh, I would say he's definitely like the boxer
Probably the
turned
first,
influencer.
right?
Oh, as far as like a crossbreed kind of guy?
Yeah, like who do you think was the
Ryan
first to
Garcia
kinda-
is like definitely.
What did he do?
He's just been promoting. He's a really good boxer.
World champion boxer, and I believe lightweight, if I'm not mistaken, but then also does social media
Like
successfully.
really runs it up on social media very successfully. Like as successful at social media as he is at boxing. Right?
Yeah, I
Really
would say
like
so.
a crossbreed. Super good.
It's odd because maybe it's because it just didn't get much attention, but I look at Jake Paul.
Jake Paul, yeah.
I mean-
but Jake Paul came from the
I
influencer
think he
world.
just drew in the most traffic or attention to it, I would say.
Like Ryan Garcia came up and he's doing both at the same time. You know what I mean? Jake kind of came from the influencer Disney world and got into boxing. This kid Ryan Garcia has been
Did
doing
both.
both.
And I'm talking more at like the high caliber level. It'd be
Yeah.
almost as if like Canelo, for instance,
Gotcha,
was also equally successful on social media, which I'm sure he probably could be if Canelo wanted to take that route. But Ryan Garcia, has been world champion
And
boxer
think about
in the
him,
lightweight
right?
while also being successful.
Isn't that what everybody's going to be? 10 years from now? I mean,
That's what they should strive to be, for sure.
It's-
I think so.
Yeah.
Because, why not do both? You could be your own marketing. You could create your own content. It does your own promotional work. Jake Paul is showing firsthand like how successful that can be.
Yeah, that's amazing, man. Because that'd be great to get him on. Get him on the show, man. Does he do that stuff?
It would. Him or Logan. Logan would be fun
Definitely,
right now just because
yeah.
all the Logan stuff right now.
Oh boy, that'd be interesting. Yeah,
That-
we
that
could
one's
definitely
been
get all
blowing
these
up.
guys on. I 100% believe we could pull like almost any influencer boxer we want. I believe so.
Yeah, because just being able to pick their brain, like, hey man, how did you get into that? Like, what made you go that direction, or what did you see that nobody else saw?
Yeah, I think that with the platform that we have, we're going to be able to get almost any influencer boxer on, any fighter on, pretty much anybody from the fitness industry. I think that we could get such a plethora of guests on this. It's going to be absolutely insane.
You know what? And that just made me That just made me think about when you were talking about earlier about you go to challenge these guys in the fitness world. That it makes so much sense because you're correct. All those guys walk around puffed up and big.
They just want the look.
Nobody's going to step in and take a risk.
100%. And I only know that firsthand because I've challenged everyone, or at least all the big names in the industry who you think would step in the ring. Even some that have boxing experience and they won't do it.
Yeah. Well.
And then you have YouTubers like iDubbbz and everyone who's stepping in the ring. Tons of courage is built up over their head, and then you have these giant bodybuilders who are bench pressing 600 pounds who don't want to step in a boxing ring.
It takes a lot of courage.
They blow up, bro.
Yep.
It takes a lot of courage, man. It takes a lot more courage than people might guess. It's easy to say, oh, I would fight better than this guy or whatever. But at the end of the day, if you got the offer, 8 out of 10 people are not even coming close to stepping in the ring. It's scary.
Well, and most of them would if it was a Mayweather or Mike Tyson, because everybody knows they're going to get beat, but they make a lot of money. But doing it with somebody like yourselves or somebody in the influencer world, they would get tore up because now they're doing it with somebody that is their equal, and yet they can't win. So, and that's why when you were talking about that, I've thought to myself, man, that would be hard to get a fight. A lot of those guys, none of those guys would, obviously because they're bodybuilders, none of those guys are in fitness. Most of them, when they get in the ring, would blow up in the first round.
Right. I mean, one influencer who you probably know, Bradley Martin. I want to see him step in the boxing ring. I mean, you'd have to find someone else that's heavyweight. He might be a good one for Jake the Viking, right?
You know what? I don't think that Bradley, from what I've talked about with him, he doesn't really want to get into the boxing thing. It's not his thing. He would prefer an MMA or a grappling match. So I've actually offered him, hey, I'm black belt. You outweigh me by 100 pounds, but he's white belt one stripe. That'd be a fun match for the fans. Me fighting a giant, you know what I mean? Probably toss me around a little bit before he gets tired, but I think I could do it.
Yeah, what would be cool is you ever seen those CrossFit challenges, right? One of those, they would be intense.
Are you talking about them stepping in the ring?
Yeah.
That would be pretty
one of
solid
those guys that had actually qualified or done well at it, being able to go out there and get one of those guys, because those guys are in great shape.
Right. Yeah, no, I think they'd be able to run the round. And I mean, too, how hard, I think a lot of people don't realize till they do the boxing training, like how hard it actually is once you start to dabble your feet and put your toes in the water of boxing, just on a rigorous, schedule.
Even those CrossFit, man, when they do that it's not the same thing. That's why it would be fun to see people like that get in there, because it's a different world. I mean, it's like us going in there, even though we're in great shape and trying to do what they do. It would be intense to be able to do something like that, right?
100%.
But it would be interesting to see. Like, come on, let's try it. Any of you guys out there in CrossFit that have done well, we offer a challenge. Not me, I'm old. But if you cross me, I'll still fight you.
All right, you're not that old, but I have to ask you, you've been around, you've been doing this forever, absolute legend. And now you're starting this podcast, right? So what is the thing for you? Like, why? Like, what makes you stay motivated to do this type of stuff?
Ever since, I had that, obviously, a rough upbringing into group homes and obviously got adopted by the group home owner. I was taught from that point on by Bob Shamrock is that, the only person that is going to be able to bring myself out of where I was is me. Nobody's going to do it for me. I have to do it myself. And so having that talk and the way he explained it, and it wasn't just a day or a week, it was years of him talking to me about being committed and being, consistent and reaching for goals and working for those goals. And so for me, it was taught to me by him, and my whole life has been lived that way. It's like, it feels like if I don't succeed, then I'm going to end up where I started. And so from the time I was 17 years old and I started moving on in life, the goals were for me was like I couldn't fail, because if I failed, then I was going to end up where I started, and I didn't want to go back there. So that was motivating for me.
Mm-hmm. So basically you just want to keep moving.
just keep going forward and
keep moving.
keep
Never, yeah.
creating things and keep building things. And just like with doing the podcast here, it's like I get a chance to be able to reach out to fans who have been able to follow me for years, being able to show my appreciation, be able to get to know them. It's just like with Valor, building Valor. You know, I always told myself that if I had the opportunity to be able to, you know, do my own league, because as a fighter, you look at it and you're fighting, but you get to where you start thinking about other things because you're getting old, your body hurts. And I start thinking about things that I wanted to do. And I start thinking about, hey, I might want to try to start my own league. You know, I don't want to be, you know, I don't want to work for anybody, you know. I'm not against it, but I would rather build an environment where I was my boss. And I've always been that way. And so I felt like I was going to do something. I wanted to do my own league, but if I did it, I wanted to make sure that it was better. So obviously I came up with the word Valor because I really respect that word and what it means. But at the same time, too, I wanted to think about what the fans were saying early on and when I was fighting, on what they were saying about the ropes being in the way. You know, they couldn't see. They have the best seats in the house. They're on the floor, but yet it was hard to see things. So I thought, man, why don't we just take everything down? Like, literally take it down. Because as a fighter, I realized when people were like, well, what's going to keep them in there? I was like, kind of laughed, like, not disrespectful, but just kind of, what are you talking about? Like, we're fighters. Like, you don't need cages of rope to keep us in there.
Like they're gonna run.
Right. That's my kind of my thought. But you know, that's a real thought, right? When you look at it, you go, well, how do you keep? I mean, that would be. But as a fighter, when you're fighting, you don't think about that, right? You're like, well, I don't need to be. I don't need that. So
yeah, I love the bout circle design. It's great.
It's a visual explosion. I mean, for fans. And so for me, I was like, I want to make things better than what I was in. And I figured because I had the experience in there as a fighter and also been able to hear the fans over the years, that I could try to make those improvements. And the other thing, you guys, I mean, you know, as trained in boxing, because I know you've trained in it, clinches are the most boring thing in boxing. Boring. Right? So I thought to myself, let's take those out. Let's take those out. We'll make the fights faster. There's no rope, no cages, no clinching. Boy, that's fast. So we took those out. And then, of course, God-given talent, like bare knuckle. Why is it that you put a glove on somebody like a Mayweather, not to say he's a great boxer, probably one of the best of all times in his skill sets, take the glove off? What would happen then? Would he still be that great? So for me, it was about going God-given talent, fighting, quickness, speed, excitement, visual explosion. I wanted to create something that fans hadn't seen and that we can improve the sport. And so that's where Valor and the vision came from, was my experiences in my journey, being able to put those things in this and being able to move forward with that. And right at this point, as what we've done to this point, man, I think it's been really successful and look forward to what's coming.
I do really like the way you put that together because, like you said, I think it's just something that the fans have been requesting for so long. No one wants to watch a boxing match where they're clinching nonstop. Of course, you want the best seats, the best view you can possibly get, ground level where you're almost like immersed into the fight itself. You know, just exactly listening to the fans.
Yeah, and I tell you, that's we watched the first one. And I remember sitting there because, again, when you get it, you got the vision, right? But you just don't know whether or not it's going to play out the same way it is in your head. And I'm sitting there and watching the fights, and I was like, I had a knockout, just a big knockout, and it was Lavar's knockout. And I was like, I stood up and went, oh my gosh. And I know it's like, I don't want to be disrespectful or, I mean, I feel sorry for a guy, you know, I don't want to see what happened to Sweeney. I didn't want to see that. But I jumped up because in my head, I was like, oh my gosh, that's it. That's the clip.
It's like, exciting.
Yeah, it was exciting. He was okay after he was up. Then you had Godbeer. His knockout. I was like, oh my gosh. We came out of our seats. I was just like, oh, this is like, and the thing is after it was over, nobody went to the hospital. Everybody was okay. And you know, like I said, you have that vision, what you see it, but you don't really know it until it happens. And that night when it happened, it was like, we got something. And I remember Matty, who was my business partner, he said, he couldn't have said it any better. He says, man, we just got lightning in a bottle. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is exciting.
Every fight that I've seen from Valor, every highlight is super exciting, right? It just speaks. And like you said, you don't want nobody to get hurt. You don't want none of that. You just want exciting moments like that and everybody to get up and be okay. And that's it. And that's why I think that some people get mistaken and think, oh, this is a little bit too brutal or whatever. It's actually safer. Like we talked about with the boxing stuff and all that. And lighting in a bottle, perfect description. Every single clip that I've seen, exciting.
Yes, and again, like I said, we're just getting started. I love the direction we're going. Obviously, you can't get into too much of the direction and stuff, but I love what we're doing and how we're starting to package this. And I think that probably in the next 6 months, 8 months, we're going to see a lot of exciting things from Valor. And I'm telling you, man, this is I see a lot of stuff being able to come together with us because, like I said, we all come from different worlds. Right. And being able to bring those together, the influencers, the boxers, the MMA, all this stuff, being able to talk about world events from our own vision. Obviously, you guys are younger than me, so we have different perspectives, but I'm excited about doing this with you guys.
You mean to tell me we're younger than you?
Yeah, no, wait a minute. I think we're the same age.
Yeah, okay.
What, 32, right?
You were born in like 93, right?
That's good. I'm not even
Wait a minute. 93. That's when I won my first title. Yeah.
And I know you wanted to talk about early on. I just sparked in my brain Damar Hamlin. We wanted to, wish him the best, speedy recovery.
Definitely.
Hopefully bounces back. It's something crazy that I witnessed live because I'm a Bengals fan watching the game. Super unfortunate to see. I'm glad that they didn't continue the game because there was one point where I was watching. I was like, "There's no way they're going to continue this game right now." And I think they did all the necessary things. And my thoughts and prayers go out to him.
Yeah, you're right too. And it's like when we look at this, and there's not much that separates us, right? As athletes, as people, human beings. No matter what it is that we're doing, whether we're fighting, whether we're playing football, basketball, everyday life, there's a human nature to everything that we do. And when something like that happens, that human nature has to kick in. And the one thing that I have seen, especially in the NFL, and I've seen it in other ones too, when these kinds of things happen, when something seriously happens, people pull together. People really come together and try to support one another. And to me, it's great to see that. Obviously, Damar and his family, friends, we were praying, and that we wish the best outcome, and that our hearts go out to them. I remember, like I said, I was watching the game live, and when it happened, it was just something you don't ever want to see another. I
never thought I'd ever see anything like that, to be honest, especially in football. Maybe from something, more combat sports world, UFC, MMA, bare knuckle maybe. But from football, I never thought I'd see someone, fall over the way he did on the field.
I don't think we even seen that in combat, because usually when you see that, a guy's been hit and he goes down or he's wobbling. This was different because when he stood up,
he looked fine.
And he just fell
back over. Yeah.
That was scary, right? Yeah. So again, like I said, it's like, I don't want to harp on it, but man, we just want to make sure that we give a shout out, that we're thinking of all of you, and that we wish you nothing but the best.
And then one amazing thing that I did see come out of it was he had a charity organization I believe he started a little while ago, and the amount of like donations and everything that came into that was just through the roof. If I'm not mistaken, I think it's like maybe over 5 million that's been donated over since this whole time frame and this whole situation happened. So, just goes to show that a good dude, and I hope he bounces back. And, once again, thoughts and prayers go out to him and his family.
God bless. Amen.
All right, boys, we got about 10 minutes left. So let's go ahead and we had a few more topics I wanted to cover. Did we get the highlights? Is that something that we got? We could edit this out later at a later point.
No, we did the highlights with Lavar.
We did highlights. I think we had like fight of the week or least dangerous man.
No, it was supposed to be the motivation.
Motivation at the end, and then I think that we were supposed to do like least danger, like the world's most dangerous man. We were supposed to do the least dangerous man. I think.
Yes.
Did we get clips for that, or did we not get clips?
I thought we were supposed to do it, but no one showed me.
No, yeah. I
didn't get a clip for it.
Okay. Well, we're gonna have to say that. We're gonna say that for the next podcast, I guess. The only clip that I got was me versus Temper.
The only one we need.
That's the only one that we need.
World's most dangerous man.
The world's least dangerous. In the first episode of the world's least dangerous man, if you just want to go to YouTube and type in Face Temper versus Overtflow, there you go.
Yeah. I guess how was that experience for you?
Yeah.
It was exciting.
Coming from a grappling world into the boxing world. How was that?
So I'll say like this, man. I accepted the first one in 2018 because I'm kind of part of that whole group, the whole gaming side. KSI comes from gaming, FaZe kind of comes from gaming, and I'm just a martial artist. So I'm not a boxer, but I just accepted it because I thought it would be a fun a fun journey, right? So I went out there. I had 4 weeks of training. I fought Face Sensei, and he ended up beating me by a liver shot. And then I took a hiatus for 4 years. And got a call, hey, in 4 days, do you want to fight Face Temper? I'm like, oh, another guy who's been boxing for as long as I've known him? Sure. So remember when I was talking to Lavar and I said, how's your feelings feel during the process? Like you feel like a roller coaster? You feel as though, what the heck am I doing here? Basically, I just felt like that. Like, what the heck is going on? But I know that the opportunities that present themselves in this industry are so they can be few and far in between, or they could be a lot more depending on how much you say yes to. I'm always the one to say yes to opportunity. I'm always the one to kick down that door.
So you're the yes man.
I'm the yes man. Hey, I'm the yes man right here. PJ, the yes man, Overtflow. Here I am. If you got an opportunity for me, 5 days notice, 10 days notice, I'm down. What is it? If it's a 1v1, 3v1 or 5v1, I'll make them all. Need 911. No, but it was a great experience, man. This is the entertainment industry. At the end of the day, right? There's some people, like I said, that are going to the professional side. They're fighting professional boxers. For us, for me at least, I'm really much more on the entertainment side. I want the match to be as entertaining as possible. If I can't win it, then I want to be highlighted just like it was. I had 250 million impressions on the last 2 fights that I did. So that, to me, huge marketing, huge win. I love that. Thank you.
My man.
Nice
My man.
little golf.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate that.
Who would you say is your biggest fight, though, if you were to choose?
My biggest
That'd
fight?
make the most sense to your fans, to you.
Oh, as of
Any
right
type
now?
of rivalry or someone in the gaming space or just social media in general that you think would be a good head-to-head?
So it has to be somebody in the gaming space. Maybe another FaZe guy would make a lot of sense since we're from the same community. There's really the audience there is just huge for that, like a FaZe K, or even the guy that I fought last time, Chris Broad, is best friends with PewDiePie, and PewDiePie wouldn't box. But he just got in really good shape. He's very athletic now, and
I did notice that. Yeah,
I think that he would say yes to chess boxing because it's obscure enough that I think that he would say yes. It's funny, right? It's funny. So PewDiePie.
It's not serious.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's like
solid.
little chess, little boxing. Did you watch that?
No.
Yeah. So do you know what it is?
I don't. I say when you brought that up, I was like, man, I want to see that.
It's like, what is this?
Okay, so
Oh,
chess.
yeah, it's new, right? I mean, like it hasn't been out, right?
Apparently, it's very, very popular in like Eastern Europe, India, France.
See, I don't. I'm gonna look it up.
It's so weird. So we have the most viewed pay-per-view, not pay-per-view, the most viewed show for chess boxing ever in history. We did it. It has, I think the main showing on YouTube has like 4 million views, and then all the stuff coming off of that has to have over 100 million total or something. It's 1 round of chess, 1 round of boxing, and you do that for 3 rounds. And then the last round,
you go 3. Okay.
Yeah, you go
okay.
3 rounds.
So
Wow.
you're playing chess and you're boxing. At the
And
same
you
time.
win by KO or checkmate.
Wow.
It's so weird.
How long do you play chess though? 'Cause-
It's 2 minutes, 2 minutes, 2 minutes, 2 minutes.
so is it speed? Like
Speed chess, yes.
Ah, okay.
Yeah,
All right.
Nice.
right.
A chess master.
It's like, I'm intrigued.
I'm intrigued now. We gotta get.
You can tell Ken is like a master chess player.
Right.
You know, I play chess, but man, that's interesting because now you're being like forced to think fast.
Oh, it's weird. It's very weird.
Yeah.
Like you miss pieces and you miss easy moves and stuff. Ken Shamrock gets a fight in there and he wins off of the checkmate, right?
Yeah,
yeah, but here's the
so
thing,
unexpected.
though. Yeah, but here's the thing though. If you
You
get
know that other
upset,
person would be like, yes. You didn't have to punch me.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Oh, thank goodness.
do you take the gloves off?
You flip the chessboard.
Wham! You made a move. It's like, I'm frustrated. Can I hit you now?
Speaking of like people getting back into it, so are you going to get back into the boxing space?
I would if the fight was right. I think
right.
that's what it depends on.
And I don't even know if we've said it though. Can you give a little, like, for people who don't know you, give like a brief history on when you start on YouTube and what you do now?
So, are you natty or not?
Yeah.
No, that was kind of like my rise to fame, I guess, or the start of it. But it's mostly, fitness commentary, covering things in the fitness industry. There was a lot of smoke and mirrors. I'm sure Ken's familiar with it as well, being in the sports world. But a lot of people are, taking anabolic steroids or photoshopping their pictures or doing this and that. And then they're telling people they're doing the total opposite. So my thing was just kind of exposing the truth behind it all. So if someone's saying they're natural when they're not, I try and expose them based on what I know of it, dabbling through my past. So that's why if I was to, go into the boxing space, it would have to be the right fight. Maybe someone that I've had,
Brad
confrontation
Castleberry.
with. See, you already know. Yes.
Bro, I've been watching you for a while. I'm kind of excited to be here. You know.
See, Brad would be like the money fight. For me,
for sure.
That almost, you guys are trying to get that to happen though, and you just
I've
didn't do
been
it.
trying. I even offered him, I think in one of my videos, like $100,000.
Million pay-per-view, like 1 million pay-per-views sold, 1 million plus. Easy. On the Brad Castleberry?
Yeah, I offered him like $100,000 out of my own pocket just to take the fight. And he didn't do it in the video. I've challenged other people. I think Mike Rashid was one of them. He's an actual professional boxer. Trying to think, Bradley Martin I've challenged. There was like a whole list that I was going through at the time frame. But,
Yeah, we got to get that to happen.
but one thing I noticed through all that is the fitness industry, there's just no one really wants to step into the space.
When did you start making content? Because I've been watching you for years.
I started actively in 2017, and then 2018 was like when I really went at it. And then of course I got like the creator burnout for a little bit. Had to take some time for myself and kind of like regather myself.
I must have seen you like right away then, because I probably started watching you back then.
If you said that you saw me in my expos and whatnot, that was around like the 2018, 2019 time frame.
So you said you have burnout. How do you stay motivated now, or do you just take breaks, or what do you think it is? Because I've been making content since 2009. So like, there's definitely like little things that we do to avoid that burnout.
I think I did the classic influencer mistake of I let the numbers and everything gravitate what I was doing too much or influence what I was trying to do rather than what I was wanting to do. So I was trying to more so please like an audience or what other people wanted to see more than what I wanted to do. And I've more gravitated back to like my old style content, going to the expos, interviewing people, just having fun, being myself. And then that like re-sparked it back in me to want to create content again rather than just focusing on, this video didn't do that well because the numbers, and then, I don't really want to make content. I'm unmotivated now because it didn't do as well as I had initially thought, So
that's for everybody. That's with everything in life, right? If you go to the gym and you bench less than you did last time, you're a little bit like, oh shoot.
So what does it matter?
What does it all matter?
Yeah, and I think it's all about setting new goals and having fun with it.
Having fun with it.
As soon as you stop having fun with it, then that's where, like, for instance, it became a job for me, and it wasn't really a passion or something fun anymore, or an escape. It became a job.
Let me ask you something, because I've come across some of your content, and it just seems to me like what's amazing to me is that you haven't been in fights. Like,
everyone's like, how many times have you been punched?
Yeah, exactly. That's my question is like, what was the worst confrontation?
Honestly, there hasn't been that many, and I even challenge people. I was like, if you have a problem with me, come say it to my face. Like I encourage people, if they dislike me, come talk to me, hash it out with me in person. I'm not gonna swing on them or anything, but I like to people, come speak their mind. Don't do something behind my back. Don't talk about me behind my back. Like just say it to my face. Like we can have a one-on-one conversation. But I think a lot of people, because I also do the commentary videos sitting down like this with my camera up here, they think I'm gonna be, like 5'6" or like in the 5'8" range or something, and they think based on my videos I'm gonna get knocked out all the time, or you have people swinging on me or confronting me. But
you're
I'm
a big
6'4",
guy, and you're
so I think most people see me in person, they're like, oh wait, maybe I shouldn't. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that you might come off, you're a little bit aggressive maybe in how you approach certain things, but I think overall you're like pretty polite about it and nice with. You're not like really being rude to people or whatever, and you're massive, so that happens. Almost as big as me.
Well, also too, when you do it too, it's like when you ask now it's a little different because I think people are aware of it. But when you first started, it was almost like they had to catch up to you, like literally, like what is happening here?
Yeah.
Dude, those are actually that's what I miss, because probably back when you were watching me, no one like really knew who I was. Versus if I go to an expo now, for instance, I went to Olympia a couple weeks ago.
People expect to run into you.
People see me and they like see me all the way down the line or whatever, walking from across the expo, and they're like, oh, here he comes. Okay, security. Yeah,
I'm natural.
Don't let him through. Or they prepare the response. Okay, what am I gonna say? Liver King. I'm natural. So it gives them time.
Look natural. Look natural.
Back then, it was like I was just some random guy coming up with a camera. Yeah. They had no idea what to expect, and then I just hit them with it, and then you get like the perfect.
Isn't that
where
funny,
they're just
man?
stunned in the moment.
Yeah, I've seen that a few times where guys are trying to catch up to you. Like, he's for real?
Quick, look natural.
Quick. So it's different now. So for instance, I don't know if you heard, I'm gonna be going to AVN tomorrow.
Is that why you're out here?
And diversifying the content a little bit.
Good man.
Hopefully
asking if they're natural.
Hopefully find Johnny Sins, the man of many professions. Yeah, are you natural or not?
What do you mean by that?
That would be funny.
So it'll be fun.
That's awesome. Keeping the fun in the content is so important. Like we were talking about with the motivation. For me, I've been around since 2009. I started making Call of Duty content. And did that for years just because I love it. I love the whole like growing a little community around something that I love. I'm a little bit nerdy about video games. I always have been. And so it's fun to grow that community around the gaming thing. And then it always comes in waves, man. So I've been at it long enough that I've had really good years. And then I've had years where it's like, oh, I should go get a job like minimum wage somewhere. Right? Like it's
Shut
so
up.
and
You never
down.
thought of that.
No, I have. No, it's definitely been like so up and down.
McDonald's only because you get free food.
I was about to say the free quarter pounders, man. But no, I've definitely had like it comes in waves, man, and for sure, as long as you're having fun with it, burnout is the thing. I have maybe 10,000 videos uploaded to YouTube, TikTok, all the stuff, Instagram. It's a lot, bro. I've been at it a minute, and I think that having fun with it is the biggest thing, and understanding that the numbers don't really define the content that you should be making, unless it's a success thing. Like I definitely have gone through like, yo, I'm going hard for 6 months, success, right? But then you gotta get back to the basics, what you love doing. And I think that the whole influencer space to me is so beautiful because I'm a martial artist first. I've been doing some form of martial arts since I've been 8 years old. And so to mix that, and I've been doing YouTube since I was 19. So to mix the internet with the fighting space is such a cool combination. I couldn't be happier, and I feel like I'm on a good trajectory right now, and I'm just gonna keep it
Well,
going.
think about where you are. As like I was saying, you guys are literally
Sitting
in
next to
an
Ken
awesome
Shamrock.
spot.
Yes, sir.
Awesome spot, man. You'd be in the beginning of it, man. Because, like I said, I think in 10 years this is going to be a norm.
And speaking of motivation, do you have any motivational words?
I do. It's kind of a story, and it's one that I've told many times because I do a lot of motivational speaking. I go out and I talk to people. I work with at-risk kids, so I'm very involved in with trying to help people better their lives. And one of the stories that I like to tell because it's something that truly affected me as a young kid. I was 17 years old. I was wrestling in high school, and I broke my neck just in practice. I had already qualified for state. You know, I was undefeated my senior year. And everything goes good in life. I mean, I came from nowhere. I came from the streets. All of a sudden, I'm in a group home. I have success. I have a dad. I have a mom. I have all these things, food, nice house, everything that I didn't have. And life was perfect. I had scholarships for college, for football and wrestling. And then one thing, after doing everything right, getting off the street, not getting into fights or getting into any of that stuff, and I was going in the right direction, and then all of a sudden I go in with no fault of my own and go in and wrestle, and I break my neck, and it's all taken away. Like literally, scholarship stopped talking to me. Nobody called me. I was like the plague. Obviously, everybody was concerned because I had this halo on, which you'll see when they post it up here, is I had all this metal bracket on in a chest plate that they took a bone chip out of me and fused it in my neck. I mean, I broke my neck. Not like some people say, hey, I broke my neck and I finished wrestling. I toughed through. No, I broke my neck. I couldn't move. And they had to put me back together again. Now, I was told I would never play contact sports again at 17 years old, laying in a hospital bed by a doctor, a guy that was fixing my neck. And my dad told me, he goes, do you really believe that you've come this far to fail now? Like, it is up to you. And this is the thing I told you, years and years of him telling me, you are the only one that can improve your position. You're the only one that can change the direction that you're going right now. And of course, you know, he's talking about getting a different job, but I took it as he's right. Nobody can tell me what I can and can't do because they don't know me. They don't know what I'm made of or what I'm willing to do to get to where it is I want to go. They don't know me. And so I remember thinking in my head going, you know what? He's right. This doctor can't tell me I can't do something. And obviously I'm not telling people to go out there and do something when a doctor says. I'm just saying I had to know as a person. I had to know that I couldn't do it anymore. So after I was a couple of years, after 2 years, a year and a half after, I went out, and this was fast, I get it. But I was playing college football at Shasta College. Nobody would let me play football, but I had to walk on to a junior college. And I was team captain, had the most tackles, led the team. I was team captain. I had a chance to go on and do more in football. In fact, I had a chance to play with the Chargers. But the story on this is that the one thing I learned in life, even after that, right, is continuing to do what I do now. After that incident, I kept going and doing things that I did. The one thing I learned from that was that you have to stop listening to people, and especially, and not taking it, especially a doctor who knows what doing, but you have to understand who you are, what you're capable of doing, and find out for yourself, not what somebody's trying to tell you. You have to know yourself. So do everything that you can to succeed. Don't let people tell you can't do it. Go out and find out whether you can or can't do it. Put hard work in, never give up, and always, always strive to be better. Period.
Damn, not bad.
I love it.
I'm motivated.
Something I always
go.
say too is like people will tell you, other people will tell you, be realistic. Dude, do you think that you can do that? Be realistic. I don't like that term, but I like to say, be honest with yourself, because honestly, I can do a lot more than people will give themselves credit for, you know? So I'm just going to keep doing it on it. Like, just be honest with yourself. I like that better.
Yep. Yep. Because you know what you're honest to yourself is different what's honest to somebody else.
Yes.
We're all different. Just like if somebody came to you and said, man, you're crazy. There's no way you're going to make money at playing video games.
Yeah.
Right? I'm sure you've heard that.
A lot of people have said it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I was told I would never play contact sports again.
And here you are.
Right? And so, like I said, that message, and I think people that are listening, take it to heart, man. Because we as human beings, if we truly want to do something, we can do it. If you're willing to put the work in and the effort and just keep going, don't take no for an answer, you can achieve whatever you want.
Perfect.
I think that's a beautiful way to end the podcast.
Yeah, no, I think it is too. And I think it'll leave people excited to see some more that's about to come.
Right on, man.
Definitely. Very excited to do this with you guys. Bout Time. One of the greatest podcasts on the face of the planet.
I second that. This is Bout Time. Appreciate you guys joining us, man, with Kenny KO. Overflow, overflow, flow, overt. PJ, man, we appreciate you guys coming on, man. Thank you so much. We will do this again, and we look forward to seeing you guys next time. Peace out. God bless.
Thank you.